Well, you might be seeing the topic of this video or the title of this video and wondering, yeah, is a safety going to go top 5? Well, the answer to that question, at least in my eyes, is a big resounding yes, and people are starting to agree with me. I think we're entering an era of, this excites me. We're entering an era of taking the best player available when you feel is right. Not enough GMs have done that, and it has bitten them in the rear end. How many times now? Too many times, right? You can't, drafting for need over BPA in the NFL is how teams stay bad, and drafting for best player available over need is how you become the Seattle Seahawks. That's how you become the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, yeah, this is Berman's Big Board. My name is Zach Berman. I should have led with that. But this is how you become a good team. You look at a guy like Caleb Downs, the Ohio State wunderkind safety, one of the best safety prospects to come out of the draft in as long as I can remember, really since I became a fan of the sport. Like Troy Polamalu was before my time. His college days were. This is new for me. We have not had Kyle Hamilton was very good out of the draft. Jamal Adams was very good out of the draft, but this is new. This is something unlike anything we have seen before, especially given the fact that otherwise you don't have a crazy high end top of this draft class. You just don't. So what are we going to do today? We are going to, as you might have guessed, react to another mock draft. I haven't looked at any of these yet. We're going to go the newest mock draft I can find. Ooh. From somebody big. Let's go with Field Yates's first mock draft of ESPN. We'll start at 2. You know who's being picked at 1. Field Yates still has Arvell Reese going at 2. The fact that there is so much smoke to Arvell Reese potentially going first or being the first position player off the board this late in the game, that is really eye-opening. It depends on how the Jets want to utilize him. Do they want to utilize him as an edge rusher, or do they want to utilize him as a linebacker? I think they need a concrete plan, which, given the fact that we're talking about the New York Jets here, I'm not so sure they have a plan. But if they're coming off if he comes off as the best player available, because you are looking in this case for the best position player on the market, right? This is who you believe. This is who Darren Moogie believes is the best position player on the market. I personally don't think it's Arvell Reese, but the Jets also need everything. Like, there is so little that the Jets do not need. So I guess it's why not go with the athletic freak who can rush the passer, who can cover tight ends, who can do everything you possibly need. I would, and this is just me, I would pick Ruben Bain here. I think he's the best pure edge rusher in the class. I would not pick Arvell Reese over him, but I'm not paid to make these decisions, so oh well. All right, number 3. Francis Mauigoa, offensive tackle, Miami, the Arizona Cardinals. This I like. If you have Paris Johnson Jr. playing left tackle, you need someone of his caliber across from him. And I actually really like this. I think Mauigoa is going to want to be part of it. Well, he's one of the best run blockers in the draft. And as Field Yates says, new head coach Mike LaFleur is going to prioritize a gap running scheme with powerful offensive linemen like he did in Los Angeles. This is a combination of drafting for need, but also drafting who I believe is the best available player here. I am so high on Mauigoa. I think he is as safe an offensive lineman pick as they come. I love this dude. I am chomping at the bit for Frankie Mauigoa if I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan. I hate what they've done with their coordinators, but I think this is a great pick if they go out and get him. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but I'm a fan. It's funny because I'll skip to 5 and then go back to 4. Field Yates says at 5 that Caleb Downs to the Giants a curveball. I disagree. I think it's very obvious at this point that the Giants are leaning towards picking Caleb Downs. You have John Harbaugh going on the Mike Francesa podcast and saying, oh, yeah, he's really, really good. There's been so much smoke that John Harbaugh wants a safety like an Ed Reed or a Kyle Hamilton, and he's had all this top flight safety play for so long in Baltimore. He wants that. You'd have to think in New York. I don't think that's a curveball. I think the curveball is the pick that comes before, which is David Bailey to the Tennessee Titans, not Reuben Bain, but David Bailey at a Texas Tech who is just beyond explosive. 14.5 sacks. I've raved about him. I don't have him as I have him as my number 3 edge rusher. I also have Arvell Reese as an edge rusher, but I know the he's got short arms thing with Reuben Bain. Like, I get it. I wouldn't call it a bad pick, but I think it's the wrong pick, if that makes any sense. Like, dude, you have a guy that almost single-handedly willed his team to a national championship as an edge rusher. Pick him. Is it that crazy to suggest it? I guess. I don't know. I disagree with that. I like David Bailey a lot, but I don't feel like he's the best player at the position there. Tennessee absolutely needs help on the edge. They need so much help on defense. Rob Saleh is going to run a scheme that is going to help them out and then some, but you could talk me into the position. I just don't like. I feel like they're not getting the best player there. That's just my 2 cents. Could be wrong, but and this is not to say Bailey's a bad player either. I really like him. 6th overall, the Browns going with Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah. I don't like Spencer Fano. He's not very good at anchoring, which typically leads to stuff that we see out of guys like Will Campbell. I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl, but he was not very good. Yeah, I worry about that. I really worry about that pick. I don't like that pick at all. I think there are good tackles to be had, but not. I don't even think Fano is the best tackle out of Utah this draft. I think Caleb Lomu is better, like way better. I mean, the next tackle off the board would be, oh, man. Yeah, I have thoughts about this. I'm going down through the list. This is not. I like Field Yates. I don't necessarily agree with this one. I get it. He allowed 0 sacks this past season, but I think the physical tools outweigh the game tape for me for Fano. That's just That's just my thought. If they're going to go tackle this high and it's not Mauigoa, I'd rather take a receiver or trade down here. That's just what I would do if I'm Cleveland. Speaking of receiver, okay, Field Yates has a run on receivers starting at 7. Carnell Tate is the first receiver off the board. I don't love Carnell Tate. I think he's my wide receiver 3. Oh, Zach, how could you? He's never been a number 1 option. He was always the 2 at Ohio State behind either Jackson Smith and Jigba. No, not JSN. Excuse me. I'm dating him. Oh, my God. Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jeremiah Smith in this situation. I get it. He would be a 2 behind Terry McLaurin, and he would provide a solid, a different option, a very different player than what's his face, than McLaurin. But at the same time, I don't think he's the best receiver, and I don't think he's the best receiver available. I think Washington would benefit from picking a more prototypical X guy, which in this case, the New Orleans Saints pick that guy up in Jordan Tyson. Oh, that would be a great ad for the Saints. Put a guy like him across from Chris Olave. It reminds me so much of George Pickens. Like, he's great after the catch, but he can high point and make these athletic jump ball type plays. He's great in the red zone. He's clutch. He doesn't drop the ball. The one question with Tyson are the injuries. I still love this pick. I think this is a slam dunk A+ pick for New Orleans. I talk about going best player available and how important that is. After Caleb Downs, my number 2 best player in this draft class is a running back, and that's Jeremiah Love. The problem with Jeremiah Love is that he's a running back, right? How many teams can afford to go out and draft a running back top 10? So many teams have made that mistake, even though it might be the best player available. It's just the positional value, even with the growth in growth, not so much as the rebirth of run game, the importance of the run game in the NFL. There are very few teams that can afford to take a running back this high. One of those teams, though, is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they take Jeremiah Love at number 9. I think this is a no-brainer. Team with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. They need offensive weapons. Their offensive line is pretty good. Maybe I'd go Mekhi Lemon here, but this is a no-brainer for me. One of the few scenarios where drafting a running back this high absolutely makes all the sense in the world, and one of the few times where I'm going to give a running back this high an A+. I love this pick. Here's a pick I love even more. A team that needs edge rush. Shamar Stewart was not the answer last year. Trey Hendrickson's probably moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals need pass rush. They need production. I would be shocked if Ruben Bain falls this far. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals would be very, very happy if he in fact did. I think I'm mincing words here just a bit. I think they'd be completely and utterly overjoyed. He had 20.5 sacks in 3 years. I know the physical traits are, his arms are too short. Watch the technique, watch his hands, and watch the strength. You can't teach the ability to play good football. You can add size, but you can't teach good ball play. And Ruben Bain is just a good football player. The Cincinnati Bengals, especially defensively, need good football players. That's a no-brainer for me. Also a no-brainer for me. Oh, these are a lot of good picks here in 10 to 15 range. I think on the outside, after this, it kind of gets a little wonky, but not here at 11 with Mansour Delane. My top cornerback, this guy is awesome. Dolphins are losing their top two outside corners to free agency potentially. The lockdown cornerback in college, maybe not getting as much buzz as people thought he would because LSU didn't have that great of a season, and that tends to take the attention off of guys that, which I don't know. That's a whole nother story. Delane's an awesome player. Miami needs him. You're in a division with Drake May and Josh Allen. Yeah, I'd say this would help. This seems to be at 12, a very, very, very popular pick, and I would be dreading it if it were to come true, but I say that out of respect because Sonny Styles to the Cowboys at 12 would be a slam dunk. 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. This guy could be Luke Kuechly for the next decade plus. Dallas allowed 6.1 yards per play last season. This is a very Cowboys pick, and I mean that in the best way possible. I think Jerry Jones would love to have a guy like this caliber of a linebacker. I mean, they missed Micah Parsons. They haven't fully replaced Sean Lee since he retired. Yeah, I like this pick a lot. I think we're on a good run here. 13 and 14 are both great picks too. Things get wonky around 15. Okay. Jermod McCoy, 13th overall to the Rams. The Rams need secondary. And McCoy is so talented. The one issue is he's coming off a torn ACL, and that raises so many eyes. Hasn't really tested since that torn ACL, so everybody's just a little bit hesitant. I don't know. I think depending on how he tests, this is a great pick, but I hold my breath there just because of, it is an ACL. Those are not easy injuries to necessarily come back from, although guys certainly have proven the ability to do so. I'm going to hold my breath there. I think it has potential to be an excellent pick. I just don't. I need to see more at the combine as pro day from McCoy before I etch it in as a great pick. And I think that makes a lot of sense. You want to talk about slam dunk? Oh, boy. Mekhi Lemon at 14 of the Ravens. Whew. This guy is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's my wide receiver 2 over Carnell Tate. Ravens need wide receiver help. This is, oh, man. How can you not love this pick if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan? You are jumping up and down with Mekhi Lemon walking up to the podium and holding a purple jersey up to the media. Oh, gosh. If you're an NFC North fan, you're trembling in your boots there. This is one that gets weird. Cassius Howell at 15 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's not my top edge rusher here. I would go Zion Young. I'd go Keldrick Falk. Case of good player, but not the best player at his position. He's athletic, but he's inconsistent. Yeah, he had 11.5 sacks this year, but had a tendency to shrink during the big moments. So I hesitate about going Howell that high. Now, this is interesting. The Jets at number 16, Caleb Banks, who was dominant at the Senior Bowl, only played 3 games this year during injuries, a defensive tackle, 6'6", 330 pounds. He's built like a video game character. I like, but don't love Caleb Banks. If the Jets want to stop the run, I would go Keldrick Falk. But I understand this pick. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. Monroe Freeling to Detroit at 17. In this scenario, Brad Holmes is trying to get fired. This would be a bad pick. Yeah, I don't know. Monroe Freeling here? I have no idea what has contributed to Monroe Freeling's meteoric rise to the top of these draft boards. I don't get it. Like, he's fine. He's a second, third round pick. Shouldn't be going top 20. He's not going to help the Lions. He just is not going to. I mean, if I'm a Detroit fan, I'd be sick. I'd be completely sick if that's where my team went that high in the draft. I mean, they need tackle help, but again, what am I not seeing here? Caleb Lomu is possibly the best Utah tackle and the best tackle available. Like, go get him. He's on the board. I am very confused as to what the Lions would be doing here. I strongly dislike it. Strongly dislike the pick. 18, Brandon Cisse. I think a lot of Vikings fans would be freaked out because the last time they drafted a Clemson guy that high, it didn't work out in Andrew Booth. But I would go Avion Terrell here over Cisse. I like Cisse. I don't love him this high. A C- pick. This comes across as Kwesi still having the job when he doesn't. So I don't think they do that. Panthers, Akeem Mesidor. Don't love this pick. I'm not sure how I feel about Mesidor being not with Ruben Bain. I think Bain makes Mesidor go. But Nick Scorton had a solid rookie campaign. I am conflicted, I think is the right word. I like it. I don't love it. Again, the pick I love, and it just absolutely pains me to keep saying this, is what Dallas is doing in this hypothetical mock draft. I'd be so frustrated if they went out and they managed to snag Keldrick Falk at 20. Just an unbelievably good run stuffer. Arguably the best in the class. I know he's considered an edge. His strength is stopping the run. I love this player. I love this pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he went way higher. I would pick him higher, but then again, I'm just some dude with a microphone. Ty Simpson at 21. Does this not feel like Kenny Pickett or what? I think Ty Simpson's an infinitely better prospect than Kenny Pickett when Ty Simpson is actually healthy and reading the defense correctly. I think it's fine, especially if Rodgers comes back for another year, which, like, at this point, like, why the hell not? I am okay with it. Not thrilled, but okay. I think it's a B- pick. I think he's the best quarterback available. I mean, I was and still am a huge Trinidad Chambliss fan, but that doesn't look like it's happening. As in, he's going back to the NFL, or he's going back to college, which is crazy in itself. This one simply is I get why the pick has to be made. I don't like it, but the Steelers do need a quarterback, and they will certainly be getting one in Ty Simpson. I don't know if he's that great, but they'll certainly be getting a quarterback. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah, his decision-making is not great. Vega Ione, 22 to the Chargers. A+, 10 out of 10, no notes. The best guard in the class. Someone who I think is a top 15 pick. Chargers desperately need offensive line. Sold. 23. This is interesting. Maxian Nachor out of Arizona State. Had a great Senior Bowl. He's 6'6", 330 pounds. But he didn't play high school football, and his technique is it's got to be refined a little bit. Jeff Stoutland's also not there anymore, so that creates a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe not. Do the Eagles trust their new offensive line coach to develop a guy like this who's definitely a developmental piece? If Stoutland was here, I'd say, yeah, hell yeah, go out, absolutely pick this guy. Now, I don't know. Browns, Denzel Boston. Love this pick. Now this, if they go Fano and Boston with their 2 first-rounders, sold. Absolutely sold. 6'4", 209 pounds. I've seen him described as a Diet Coke version of Mike Evans. I would say that's a pretty solid comp. I really like that, actually. Yeah, Boston's a good fit. He's my next receiver off the board, so I'm so down with this. 25, Zion Young to the Chicago Bears. I love this pick. The Bears need more edge. They have the second worst pass rush win rate in 2025. Yeah, we had a couple weird ones. Now we're back to slam dunk pick territory. This is an A+, so is 26. Peter Woods, who is so odd because coming into this season, college football, everyone saw Peter Woods as like a consensus top 10, even top 5 guy. He just didn't have a good season. Like, that's really the only way to describe it. So how do you evaluate that? I think getting a guy like Woods this late is crazy. And the Bills certainly, I feel like it's a constant just to say the Bills need help defensively. Yeah, they do. So, like, this is a slam dunk. You can't, like, you really, yeah, I got nothing more to say other than, yeah, this makes perfect sense. 10 out of 10, no notes for both the Bills and the Bears. 27. Niners select KC Concepcion. Basically, in this place, replacing Brandon Ayuk with Brandon Ayuk. I actually really like this. It's twitchy, good after the catch. It's a solid pick. Really like the player. We're now back to the picks that I'm liking more so than some of what we had in the mid-teens. But this is good. 28. No, don't do this. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama, a.k.a. the second coming of Evan Neal. This guy is just about as obvious of a bust as I've seen a first-round tackle be in a long, long time, or projected first-round tackle. Like, please, dear God, if you're the Rams, do not do that. Or not the Rams, the Texans, do not do this. CJ Stroud already looks like he's struggling enough as is. This would be a terrible mistake. Like, just no. Like, did I mention no? Like, don't do this. That would be just a brutal decision. You can't do that. F minus. Colton Hood. I don't love. I like. I thought he had a fine week at the Senior Bowl, but nothing special. I'm cool with it. That's a B+. 2 Tennessee cornerbacks in the first round for the Rams. Okay. 30. I have no idea how he would fall this far. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon to the Denver Broncos. A+ pick. This is just an incredible pick for a team that doesn't have that many needs, but they need a tight end. I've mocked Eli Stowers here before because typically I would have Sadiq way off the board at this point. Does not seem to be the case here. Sadiq at 30 would be just This is a crazy mismatch for the rest of the division. And the last two picks, offensive lineman, Caleb Lomu to the Patriots. Now, this is a great pick. This is just an absolutely fantastic pick. Why is he still there? Why is he even falling that far? If he falls this far, New England will sprint to the podium and take him without a second thought. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing. Patriots should absolutely do that. Yeah, I got no complaints there for New England. And Chase Bisontis at 32. I guess you go guard in the first back-to-back years. Texas A&M guard. I'm surprised it's this early, but at this point, whatever John Schneider does, I trust. So if he goes Bisontis at 30, I think that's pretty good. I'd say this is like a 7 out of 10 draft. There are a couple picks that I'm really not too fond of, but otherwise, like, it's solid. It's better than most.